Welcome to the final edition of Squib Kick Radio for the 2018-2019 NFL season. I am your host, as always, Elias Powell, and I'm joined here with both Robbie Simpson and Riley Pollock. How's it going, boys?
Hey, how are ya?
I'm doing pretty good. That was the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life last night, but, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, that Super Bowl sucked.
Yeah, it was definitely, I would say, the worst Super Bowl I've watched. But let's not start the episode on such a negative note. The halftime show was also awful, but let's summarize. We'll do. You guys can pick what you want to give me. What's been your favorite Super Bowl halftime show, and then or your favorite Super Bowl ad, if you want to go that way. If you can't really think of one, I'm usually not always the biggest fan of the halftime show, but so I'll probably go commercial. But why don't you start us out, Riley?
For ads, that Bud Light swear jar one from a few years ago is my favorite, and it just popped up on my timeline again last night, which is hilarious. They all swear on purpose so that they can get cases of Bud Light at an office, and it's super funny. As for halftime shows, it's kind of a toss-up for me. I really, really liked Lady Gaga's performance from a couple years ago. I thought she killed it. She came flying out of the sky and just kicked ass, really. And then Prince's when it was raining on him, and just, you know, the significance now that he's passed and how good of a show that was. Those are probably my top two for halftime shows. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I don't really care about them. I'm not really a pop music guy, and that's usually what it seems to be. And last night's was pure garbage besides the 10 seconds of SpongeBob.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, Robbie, what do you got for us? What do you think for halftime shows or the good old Super Bowl commercials?
Well, for commercials, I thought the Pepsi ones were pretty funny, where they're like, yeah, Pepsi's okay. Of course it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
But then the Pepsi halftime show was super not okay. It sucked. So the joke I've been hearing around Instagram and stuff has been it was a maroon 5 out of 10. So, so yeah, halftime shows. The Janet and JT one was probably one of the first times I saw boobs on TV. So that was pretty neat. And yeah, that was probably my favorite one.
And there's some controversy about that because people are like, oh, look at the double standard. Everyone freaks out when Janet Jackson shows her boobs on TV, but what's his name? Adam Levine? Oh, he can show his boobs the whole time, and everyone's like, oh, double standard. It's okay, but yeah, there is one. You can't show girls' boobs on TV, but you can show guys' boobs on TV. Yeah, I personally have no problem with girls' boobs, but some people do.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but for me, I'm gonna start with the ad, and it was a culmination. I definitely think the ads were won by Bud Light. All of them were so good, and they set it up incredibly with just their standard Bud Light commercials throughout probably the first quarter and a half, and then they came in with a Game of Thrones crossover episode with having the mountain crush the Bud Knight's skull and then having the dragon fly in and start burning everything. It was awesome because you don't expect to see a Game of Thrones teaser in a Bud Light commercial, so it caught me off guard, and I thought it was really, really well done. And in terms of a halftime performance, I'll have to go with Beyonce at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or actually no, that was the Superdome, I think.
Yeah,
yeah, it was the Superdome, where she knocked the power out. That's just obviously wasn't what happened, but
so
I think it's a funny story, and it added such an interesting element to that game, essentially letting the Niners come back into it, but then ultimately getting defeated by the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, we all know the real story there, that Roger Goodell caught the power so that the game would become closer. It's obvious.
Yeah, but that's back when he liked Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
That is very true. Well, might as well break this game down. Lowest scoring game in Super Bowl history. I mean, where to start? Worst game ever. It was so boring. And Roger Goodell would have been so disappointed that it was just such a snoozer. Like,
Yeah.
it's just wasn't a good look. But I mean, and everyone always like rips on, these defensive games. I personally, like, I don't mind a defensive game, but that wasn't really quite like,
No, I don't think it was
outstanding defensive performance. Like, it was just bad football.
Yeah. And Jared Goff looked absolutely terrible. Todd Gurley barely got the ball again this week, which blows my mind. Yeah, and
I guess we also didn't even mention the Patriots won. I guess the Super Bowl. We probably should have opened with that, but I mean, well, we might as well address that 6 minutes in. Patriots won the Super Bowl. I mean, everything's normal in the NFL, I guess. But yeah, Goff he looked bad.
Yeah, the one time they were close to the red zone there, the second pressure got in his face, he just threw it away and turtled, and that led to the interception right down by the 5-yard line, and that was their best chance at scoring points pretty much the whole time. So yeah, he was brutal. He took it upon himself that the reason the offense sucked. Sean McVay took it upon himself because Bill Belichick coached so much better than him. He had McVay wrapped around his finger, and that's why Bill Belichick is the best coach of all time.
Yeah, McVay literally said, like, I'm numb. I got so out-coached.
Yeah, which is interesting because going into it, I thought, maybe this is McVay's time to step up and be that next coach to dethrone Bill Belichick. But no, doesn't happen. I mean, if I'm the Rams, I'm pretty concerned with Goff and how he's even played since November.
Yeah,
just not very good.
ESPN already has them as number 1 going into 2019.
The Rams?
The Rams, Chiefs. I remember the Pats were 4th, but yeah, the Rams were number 1.
I don't think they're going to be very good next year.
I think anybody can be good if you're spending money and your quarterback's still on a rookie deal.
Yeah, but like as soon as Cooper Kupp left, that offense looked terrible. And I don't know if a slot receiver should be the one that's holding your entire offense together. Where was Robert Woods yesterday?
Goff couldn't get him the ball.
Did you even hear his name? I don't remember hearing his name once.
I think he did.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely was in the game, and like he caught a few balls for sure. But I mean, unless your name was Julian Edelman, nobody cared about you on offense.
That's fair. I mean, Sony Michel had a pretty good game too, but he
came through in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he did a couple big rushes. Yeah.
Gurley is, I think, one of the big stories. I don't know what they're doing addressing that or what he's doing, maybe covering something up, but I mean, he's not playing, and I don't know if it's necessarily a performance thing because Todd Gurley's a running back where he's going to need like 15 plus carries if he's going to make a huge difference in the game. And all playoffs, they just essentially ignored him. He keeps coming out and saying he's fine. So maybe he got benched, but I just don't get how you pay that guy the money that they did and then you make it to the Super Bowl and you barely give him any touches. Mind you, he also did out-touch CJ Anderson, but with game flow, he didn't get to run the ball as much. But I mean, it just didn't seem like they were trying. Yeah,
and like I thought he was injured too, but they did a stat tracking thing, and he was the fastest player on the field yesterday. He hit the highest speed. So if you're hurt, and we assumed it was a knee injury because he had one earlier, a knee injury is going to slow you down a bit. But to be the fastest guy on the field, maybe they just weren't giving him touches.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Robbie? Do you think he's hurt, or do you think he got benched?
I don't think he's 100%, but I think just like everyone predicted, this game was won and lost in the trenches, and both defensive lines looked unreal. I mean, your boy Aaron Donald, I don't think he recorded a sack, but he was always doubled, and Ndamukong Suh had a huge first half and a pretty solid second half too. And I just remember guys like Jabbar Shield and stuff like Kyle Van Noy, all these guys were really getting pressure on Goff. So I'm not saying that the O-lines were weak because they're two of the stronger O-lines, but those D-lines looked good. So it's tough to run when you've got like 5 angry guys running towards you.
Yeah, Kyle Van Noy had an incredible postseason for the Patriots. He was just absolutely unstoppable in every game that they played.
4th round pick, Detroit.
Yep.
Yeah, we're a pretty nice Gronk catch away from maybe talking about a 6-3 game here.
Yeah, that's right. That game, or that catch put it on ice.
Yeah. Which would be like disgusting to not have a touchdown in the Super Bowl. 6-3. Ugh.
Well, I thought it was pretty crazy how none of Brady's 9 Super Bowls he's thrown a first quarter touchdown.
Yeah.
And hasn't it been 0-0
interesting.
after the first in 5 of the Super Bowls that he's been in?
Maybe. I don't know about that one, but quite possibly.
And the funniest thing is that this is his first 2-score win out of any of his 6 Super Bowls, and it's a 13-3. Right. It's a 13-3 win. I mean, I couldn't believe that stat when I saw it. All 5 of his other wins have been 1-score games.
What is surprising for me in a game that ended with such a low score, you didn't see a defensive player get the MVP. Mind you, there wasn't any defensive touchdown, which usually applies pretty heavily in assigning the MVP. But there were some incredible plays on defense and not that much on offense.
Yeah, I think Stephon Gilmore should have got the MVP personally. He had a pick, forced fumble, 3 pass breakups, and 5 tackles. I mean, that's a better stat line than 10 catches for whatever, 135, 140 yards and no touchdowns. I don't know.
And his play that he made on, who is it? At the back of the end zone.
Brandon Cooks.
Yes, Brandon Cooks.
That's right.
That basically could have saved them the game.
Yeah, well, and that's on Goff too. He was wide open for about 10 seconds, and he just threw it way too late.
Yeah, Goff just threw ducks just every time. He just wasn't throwing the ball well.
Yeah, even if you gave it like MVP to Matthew Slater, like he had a crazy game recovering punts. So I wouldn't have been surprised if it went to a punter, a kicker, or Matthew Slater. Like Edelman was the only guy on offense to show up, which obviously you needed a hero, but
yeah,
Gilmore looked good too, man.
Yeah.
Well, and they pretty much shut him down in the second half there. Edelman wasn't doing much once they doubled him. Mind you, it took him a while to actually start doubling him, but once they did, he was pretty much taken out of the game.
And can we stop with the Edelman to the Hall of Fame talk, please? He has 499 catches, 5,390 yards, and 30 touchdowns in his career. Like, those are not Hall of Fame numbers. I know that he has big playoffs and he comes to show up in the playoffs, but he's not a Hall of Fame receiver in my eyes. What do you guys think about that? Because it's all over Twitter right now, that argument.
Well, we touched on it actually last week, and I don't think he is. I mean, being a beast in the playoffs is one thing, but just being a consistent receiver in general is, I think, what gets you into the Hall. And when you look at some of the guys that he is up there with in the playoffs, they have incredible careers, not just, playoff performances. So I personally don't think so, but it'll depend who's in his class too. And maybe he won't be a first ballot, but I mean, I don't think so.
But you got to think of guys like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be retiring around his time. Julio, AB. I mean, Megatron is still better than him. There's so many guys that are really good receivers right now in the NFL, and I don't put them in the top 5.
And he juices. So
if he retired today, he doesn't get in. But if he retires in 5 years and he's got another 2 rings, if he has 5 rings and he was one of Brady's number 1 options for all those seasons, you got to find him a home. Then.
I just want to see more in regular season from him. He's an unreal playoff performer, maybe one of the most clutch receivers of all time. I mean, you think back to some of the plays that he's made in those Super Bowls, like the one against Atlanta where he pulled the ball off of a defender's hands and it was millimeters from being on the ground, and that kind of set up the game-tying drive. I mean, he's made huge plays. He's a huge playoff guy, but you got to factor in regular season numbers into Hall of Fame talk too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I agree. I totally agree. But the Patriots are a system team, right? Like, I mean, aside from Gronkowski, who is a force, and Randy Moss, who was Randy Moss, like,
Yeah.
you don't have anybody who balls out season to season. Like, remember Chris Hogan 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like Isaac Bruce has 10,000 more yards than him.
Oh, he's much more.
And 61 more touchdowns, and he's not in the Hall yet. You got,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tough argument. I don't think he's going to make it, but I guess transitioning Gronk. What do we think about Gronk? Is he coming back? Is he done with football? What do you guys think?
He'll be back as long as Tom's back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So the day that Tom Brady retires is the day that Belichick retires is the day that Gronk retires, I think.
Yeah, because the only reason Gronk was even considering retirement is when they were considering trading him to the Lions. Then, that cooled off. Brady's like, no, I'm coming back. He ended his offseason holdout, and Gronk showed up too.
And it looked like they were having a pretty good time last night. Gronk and Brady were maybe a little in one after the Super Bowl win.
They're bad boys for life.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to hang him up yet. I think he's just been worn down and beaten up, but I still think he's going to have a major injury and then he'll retire on that. I don't think he's going to go out right now.
But he survives major injuries. He's broke his back twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
I think he's there as long as Brady is.
Yeah, totally. And his price tag's something like $10.5 million. And honestly, when it comes to tight ends, he's worth $10.5 million. When you think like guys like Jimmy Graham are making $10 million, and the Packers are expecting to bring him back. So
and Gronk's blocking is top tier
he's
too.
unreal.
He's a top tier
into the
blocker.
first deck, yeah.
Yeah, he does everything for that team.
Yeah, but we'll see how he's feeling.
Yeah.
I
have a
guess
question, boys.
Yeah. Go
Is
ahead,
Tom
Riley.
Brady the greatest athlete of all time in any sport?
Absolutely not. Greatest quarterback?
Yeah, not a chance.
Without a doubt. He's not even the greatest. He's not even a top 20 athlete on his team.
But like just in terms of championships and
Yeah, but
domination,
when you bring up the conversation,
he might be
when
the
you bring
greatest
up,
winning athlete.
Yeah, I mean, just because you win like lots of championships doesn't mean you're a dominant athlete.
well, you have to be, don't you?
Not really.
You have to be
I
an
wouldn't
athlete.
really say. Yeah, I wouldn't say Tom Brady's like an incredible athlete.
Well, I'm
Like,
not
his
saying like
mechanics are good,
superhuman strength or anything, but like, I mean,
like I would take Michael Jordan over Tom Brady. I would take Bo Jackson over Tom
I'd
Brady.
take LeBron over Tom Brady.
Take LeBron, Deion
Gretzky?
Sanders. Like
John
I'd love to see
Beliveau.
them fight.
John Beliveau has 17 Stanley Cups.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, is he the greatest winning athlete of all time? Or is he the greatest athlete?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say
Yeah.
no, but he's playing in a league with 6 to 12 teams, but no one else has that many playing in that era. So
yeah, and I don't know. It's different.
yeah,
Like,
it's really hard to cross-platform
is he the greatest athlete of all time? Hard no.
in terms
you
of
have
pure
guys-
athletics. Absolutely not.
Well, and that,
I mean-
that to me is an athlete. Is he the greatest winning athlete or the greatest quarterback? Without a doubt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
The best quarterback debate is over. There's no debate.
Yeah, it's Tom Brady, but yeah, going for greatest.
Though shout
athlete's
out to
a
Joe
bit of a
Montana
stretch.
for winning our pool.
Yeah.
Yes, for those of you that saw that, old Joe came in and secured that.
Me and Robbie thought it was going to be Steve Young the whole way, and
I
it
still think it's Steve.
it
Young.
pretty much was Steve Young the whole way, but Joe pulled out the upset in the final round.
Well, he used to be the GOAT. I mean, that means something.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's when it sort of blurs because we're doing individual performances, but then it's like, I mean, Tom Brady's game against Philly was pretty impressive. He didn't win, but like over 500 yards is pretty insane.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else was really of note for you guys of that in that snoozer or I guess the snooze bowl, I think we could call it.
Punters were really good.
Yeah.
They got a lot of action.
There was a record punt in that game for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, longest record punt. I believe it was 64 yards.
No, 65.
Yeah, the old record was 64.
Oh, record was 64. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jim Nantz was like, come on, roll. Like, he was like talking the ball through, like, as it was rolling through, and he's like, 65 yards.
Well, they needed something to talk about.
And you guys have heard on episode 1, good friend of the show, Charles, he apparently, while watching the game, said that was a shitty punt. And then right after, the announcer said, and that's a record punt in the NFL. So Charles must have had a couple drinks before he made that terrible and cold take.
Well, I mean, it did roll for 27 yards, so...
It took a nice bounce.
Yeah.
I mean, good kick. That's what you want.
Well, and ironically, he beat Ryan Allen, who is the Patriots kicker. That was his from last year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
If that's a 6-3 game, one of those two could be the MVP.
I also liked the curse that Jim Nantz put on Gostkowski on his first field goal attempt. Just 31 straight field goals had been made.
Not 31 straight,
Atlanta.
all 31 kicked.
Yeah, all 31 kicks, and then he misses it.
There wasn't a missed kick in Atlanta this year?
There wasn't.
No,
and then
wow.
Zerline went and missed one too to end the game.
I was listening on the radio because I was doing the broadcast for Sportsnet, so I didn't hear that, but I did not know that. That's
yeah.
That's
well,
funny.
Zerline's I think was pretty obvious that he was gonna miss. They had like no time left, and he had to kick that ball hard. He couldn't just float it up there. He had to bury that thing through the uprights, and he just pushed it. Actually, he didn't even push it. He just straight missed because he kicked it too hard. Which, I mean, I don't really blame him, but that's one thing kickers don't really take into account is like, okay, there's 15 seconds left. I need to make this go through the uprights in 4 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that stat. That's cool. And also hilarious. Way to go, Gostkowski, you idiot.
Cool and hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm just reading this right now. Super Bowl 53 earned a 26.1 rating in New Orleans, and that's the lowest of any market and the lowest ever in New Orleans.
Yeah, they were having, I was seeing on the old Instagram that they're having huge street parties and stuff, celebrating and just not watching the Super Bowl, which is
a lot of
hilarious.
the bars had their last Super Bowl on the TV instead of the actual Super Bowl.
That's sick. And I saw that Mike Thomas, he tweeted something like, you got to score more than 3 points. Go, like, come on, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that New Orleans Rams matchup next year.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I mean, putting a nice little bow, we had the NFL Player Awards. MVP of the season, I called it, Patrick Mahomes. It was pretty much a no-brainer. What do we get? Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald, also.
Classic. Yeah.
Yep.
We knew that was coming.
Not a surprise there.
Yeah, your boyfriend.
Yeah. Chris Long, Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Easy.
Yeah, that was easy. There's no devastation to Houston where J.J. Watt brings almost $20 million in. So that one was kind of anyone's game, or else normally J.J. will take that.
Nagy as the Coach of the Year was a nice one, I thought.
Yeah.
I liked that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would have given it to Sean McVay, but...
Yeah, but you can't argue. Like, there's arguments for both, I guess, right? Like,
yeah.
Nagy, the Bears weren't supposed to be good. They get Khalil Mack and then are good.
Yeah, I mean, I would have fought for, like, if we're just taking McVay out of the conversation, I would have fought for Andy Reid.
Yeah, but they were expected to be good. What were they, like 13-3 or something last year? And, like, they had the second-year quarterback?
I don't think it's necessarily always best record. It's, like, biggest surprise a lot of the times, right? That's how you win Coach of the Year.
Comeback player, Andrew Luck, that's a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious. If he just had a decent season, he would get it because no one knew if he'd play football again.
And Darius Leonard, Defensive Rookie of the Year, the Colts.
Easy.
Yeah, they've got someone to build around now with that billions of dollars in cap space that they have.
Yeah, and then Offensive Rookie of the Year, Saquon Barkley. That was
My boy.
I don't even know why everyone was like thinking, oh, maybe
people
Baker's
were
gonna
choked, dude. People thought Baker Mayfield was a better rookie than Saquon Barkley.
Games.
Yeah, Baker didn't play the first 5 games, but he threw the most touchdowns for a rookie. So I understand people's argument, but Saquon's just from another planet.
And most takes
from literally week 1, he just
most takes
grand
are
show.
saying like, yeah, good job Giants for taking Saquon, but you still should have taken a quarterback.
Well, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, running backs are a dime a dozen, and we've
well,
proved
and
that
just-
this year.
That's what I mean. And I mean, like, next season's or this draft's quarterback class is not what this last one was. So who knows?
Yeah.
Clutch performance was the Miami Miracle. Big fan. I hate the Dolphins, but I hate the Patriots almost as much, and that was a cool play.
Yeah. Well, just wrapping up the season here. Let's go one moment from the entire season that really stood out. Actually, maybe not one moment. That's kind of tricky. Just what's been your favorite thing of the 2018-2019 season? We'll start with you, Riley.
There's a few things. I mean, I really liked the Cleveland Browns not being the worst team in the league anymore. They were fun to watch by the end of the season, and I really liked that. The Bears, obviously, I'm a big Mitch Trubisky fan. I'm a UNC sports fan, so him coming out of UNC was pretty sweet, but I've got to go with just the way that offense spiked. That was my biggest moment. I think like the turning point in the NFL was how teams were winning like 50 to stuff, and 54-50 was probably the coolest game I've ever seen in my entire life. There was just really good games, and I really like the offense put out by the league this year.
Yeah, I agree. Robbie, how about you?
I'm either going to go at the beginning of the season or the end of the season. If it's the end of the season, I want Derrick Henry's 99-yard touchdown.
That was
week
sick.
14. That was insane.
Yeah, that was wild.
Or if we're starting at the beginning of the season, I want week 3 and Vance McDonald's stiff arm that who was it?
Yes.
Put Conti through the dirt.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, those were some
Yeah.
nice plays.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm just going to go with my Super Bowl, which was the Chiefs and the Rams. I mean, that whole game was... I feel like just witnessing that game just made up for the Super Bowl, because that was amazing. That was one of the craziest football games I've ever seen in my life. And that I'm probably going to remember that longer than I'm going to remember the Super Bowl, to be completely honest.
That game sticks with me like the Als and Riders game that went to overtime. Do you remember that opening season game, Eli, when S.J. Green made that diving catch in the back of the end zone and got his elbow in? That is the most memorable CFL regular season game for me. And obviously being a huge CFL fan, that's what that game in the NFL was to me this year.
Yep, I agree. It was absolutely out of control. Doing some housekeeping here, Riley. Congratulations, you are our playoff champion.
Thank you. I picked the 2 scores too.
Yeah, you gave me a chance.
Yeah, and I thought that coin toss was going to do some deciding there with the with the tie break. But yeah, Riley comes out on top.
I have some picks for us going into the off season, boys.
Okay.
Where do you guys take AB and Lev this year?
We're gonna go. I'm going Le'Veon to Houston. I've been pushing that for a while. And I'll go AB to the Niners.
All right, Robbie.
What? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna AB stays in Pittsburgh.
Oh, oof.
Yeah.
Robbie.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but I just read a report that both could stay in Pittsburgh, which seems like an unlikely marriage, but you got to find a team that's willing to trade something enough for you to want to move AB. It's like Anthony Davis right now with the Pelicans. And, you know, I just read the same report where the Steelers might put the transition tag on Le'Veon Bell, which means that they can have the opportunity to match any offer. And if they do decide to match, he has to stay in Pittsburgh. So that being said, I think AB is much too valuable to Pittsburgh. He stays in Pittsburgh, and I think Le'Veon goes to the Jets.
Oh, that's a big one. All right. I'll take... Oof, that's a tough one. I'm going to put Lev in Houston as well. I mean, I can't not. And I'm going to say that AB goes to the Colts.
I want him in Indy.
Nice. Yeah, that's wishful thinking there, Riley.
TY and
I do
AB.
appreciate that.
Oof.
Yep. Yeah. Right on. Well, with that is going to be the end of our season here at Squib Kick Radio. Thank you guys for spending the entire season of football with us. That's super awesome. I mean, listening to three clowns talk about football is pretty awesome. We very much appreciate everyone's support. In terms of where we go here, we are going to enjoy our off season here at Squib Kick, work on a couple, improvements behind the scenes with some technical stuff that I want to work on, but we are going to be back to you guys on March 20th when we're going to start breaking down free agency, start prepping for the draft. We've got lots of exciting things coming, and look to stay tuned for that. And of course, we are still going to be all over the social medias. We're going to be posting news, all that fun stuff. And with that, from all of us at Squib Kick Radio, we will talk to you next time.
See ya.
Peace.
I got you stuck off the realness. Think not this shit's too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Rock you in your face. Dab your brain with your nose bone. I'm a vampire walking on the surface of the sun.